यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा गदामि तदा कृष्णपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं श्रीवैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सकलरघुनाथं तं सजीवं सावधूतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादां ललिता श्रीविशाखामृतं हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठावतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाशुदेशधारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Welcome to Bhagavatam lecture. So let me share today's shloka. So today we will be discussing on third canto, shloka number third canto, 9th chapter, shloka number 16. Okay. So Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. यो वहम च गृहिश्च विभुः स्वयं च स्थिति उद्भव प्रलय हे तव आत्ममूलं विद्वा त्रिपद्वृद्धः एक उरु परोहस्तस्मै नमो भगवते बुहानाद्रुमयां यो वा अहं च गृहश्च विभुः स्वयं च स्थिति उभावा प्रलय हेतु आत्ममूलम विद्वा त्रिपद्वृत्य एक उरु परोहस्तस्मै नमो भगवते भुवन द्रुमाया। word to word meaning. यह one who वह certainly aham cha also I Grihisah cha also Shiva Vibhuhu the Almighty Swayam the personality as Vishnu, Cha and Stitihi, maintenance, Ud- Udbhava, creation, Pralaya, dissolution, Etvaha, the causes, Atma Moolam, self-rooted, Bitvaha, having penetrated, Tripat, three trunks, were Vruddha, grew, Ekaha, one without second, Uruhu, many, Raho, Raha, branches, Tasmai, unto him, Namaha, obeisances, Bhagavate, unto the Supreme, unto the personality of Godhead, Bhuvana, Drumaya, onto the tree of planetary system. Your Lordship is the prime root of the tree of planetary system. This tree has grown by first penetrating the material nature in three trunks. Asmi, Shiva, and you, the mighty for creation, maintenance, and dissolution. And we three have grown with many branches. Therefore, I offer my obeisances unto you, the tree of cosmic manifestation. So now we will go to the purport. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The cosmic manifestation is grossly divided into three worlds: upper, lower, and middle planetary system. And then it broadens into the cosmos of 14 planetary system, with the manifestation of the personality of Godhead as the supreme root. Okay, so Prabhupada is talking about 14 planetary system, So yeah, if we can see from the navel of Lord Vishnu, this stem of lotus flower comes, and on the lotus flower Brahma is born, and in the stem, around the stem, there are 14 planetary system. Okay, the higher planetary system, here it is, this is within one universe, and this is a Garbhodakshi Vishnu, and there are seven higher planetary system, which is Burvara Loka, Swarga Loka, Maharloka, Janna Loka, Tapa Loka. Let me just make it bigger. Yeah, Satyaloka, and in Satyaloka around Lord Brahma is there. And this Bhuvarloka, yeah, Earth planetary system is a middle planet. Okay, and then the lower planetary system, here also it is 7 is there. Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, Patala. Okay, so these are the three higher, three, higher planetary system, middle planetary, and lower planetary, and which further, detail is there. Each loka is having a name. So around 14 planetary system is there. So this is what Prabhupada is talking about in purport. We'll go further to the purport. Yeah, as a supreme root, the material nature, which appears to be the cause of cosmic creation, manifestation, is the only agency or energy of the Lord. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Maya dakshena prakriti suyata sa chara acharam. Only under the superintendence of the Supreme Lord does the material nature appear to be the cause of all creation. So this is very important. Under the superintendence of the Supreme Lord, the material nature appears to be the cause of creation, maintenance, and dissolution. Okay, the Lord expands himself into three: Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva, for maintenance, creation, and destruction, respectively. So, a living entity who is qualified is given a position of Brahma. So, Brahma's work is to create. So, daily morning he gets up, and does a creation. This is this chapter, which is a prayer of Brahma. So, he does a lot of penance, and finally he has to create. So, before creating, he prays to the Lord, And this complete chapter is about his prayer, mostly around 25 verses. His prayers, and later Lord Vishnu gives him the blessing. So that is there. Yeah, and like this is his kind of a daily prayers, like because every day at the end of the day, everything there is a partial pralaya, everything is destroyed. And again, morning he gets up, and then before starting his creation, he has to pray to the Lord. So on the similar lines, he prays to the Lord for blessing of the Lord so that he can create. Okay, so yeah, sometimes if the Brahma, there is no living entity within a universe who is qualified enough, then Lord himself expands as a Brahma. Okay, and then Shiva Tattva, we know, is like Lord Vishnu's one of the Tattva for maintenance, creation, and destruction, respectively, of three principal agents controlling the three modes of material nature. Vishnu is the Almighty, even though he is within the material nature for the purpose of maintenance. Okay, so when we say Vishnu, there are different Vishnus are there. So we understand that there is Karanodakshi Vishnu, and then there is a Garbhodakshi Vishnu. The Karanodakshi Vishnu is the one who is sleeping in his yoga nidra, and is think from his pores all the planetary system comes out. So that is a Karanodakshi Vishnu. And then from within each universe which comes out from his pores, he again enters as a Garbhodakshi Vishnu. And then Garbhodakshi Vishnu kind of from he creates a water, casual ocean, and then he's sleeping in that ocean in the bed of snake, and then lotus flower comes out from his navel, and that lotus Brahma is born. And then again this Vishnu expands into Shirodakshi Vishnu. So mostly when we talk about the maintenance, so that is a Shirodakshi Vishnu, who as a Paramatma, he expands into all the heart of all the living. He goes along with the all the living entity, and within every particle also, because why these atoms are not collapsing, because it is been held by Lord Vishnu as a Kshirodakshi Vishnu. So let us go further. Yeah, although he's not controlled by laws of nature, so he's not controlled by the laws of nature because he is the law. Yeah, the other two, Brahma and Shiva, although almost as greatly powerful as Vishnu, they are within the control of material nature of the Supreme Lord. So even though, this Brahma and Shiva, so they are kind of a controller of the specific, Brahma is in charge for passion, he does a creation. So, but sometimes he also comes under that. Similarly, Lord Shiva, he gives he's a controller of this ignorance, and he does this destruction. But sometimes Lord Shiva is also get affected. Okay, but Lord Vishnu never gets affected. Yeah. Control of the meta nature of the Supreme Lord. The conception of many gods controlling the many departments of meta nature is ill-conceived by the foolish pantheist. God is one without a second, and he is the principal cause of all causes. As there are many department heads of governmental affairs, so there are many heads of management of universal affairs. So some people have this concept, there are many gods. This God is there, that God is there. Okay, so those are kind of a Prabhupada says the conception of many God controlling the departments is ill-conceived. So that is a foolishness, because there is only one Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is Krishna, and all others are a demigod who are like officers in this government, Krishna's government or Krishna's kingdom. They are the big position. So it is given to the different living entity. I was hearing one lecture in which it was mentioning sometime these Christians also have this concept of and there is a creator in one universe. There is one creator, and he has a son called as Jesus, and then he delivers the creator. Yeah, but there is a creator in each of the universe. So that is mostly referring to the Brahma. Okay, because there is there is only one supreme person of Godhead who is kind of a Krishna. Okay, so we go. God is one without second, and He is the primal cause of all the causes. We remember one shloka, which is the shloka. God is one without second, and is the primal cause of Govinda Madhi Purusham. Tam Ham Bhajami. So yeah, so He is the primal cause of Sarva Karana. Yeah, so He's the cause of all the causes. As there are many department heads of government affairs, so there are many heads of management of universal affairs. So there are many demigods who manage, but they are not God. They are kind of having a position. Yeah. So further we read. Due to the poor fund of knowledge, the impersonalist does not believe in the personal management of things as they are. But in this verse, it is clearly explained that everything is personal and there is nothing impersonal. We have already discussed this point in introduction and confirmed in this verse. The tree of the metal creation is described in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So in Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter, we get a description of a banyan tree. So there is a like Ashwatha tree, which is kind of reflection. So we will see further. 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Ashwatha tree, whose root is upwards, and we have actually experience of such a tree when we see the shadow of a tree in the bank of reservoir of water. So what 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is saying. You can see a tree which is kind of a upward, root is upward and branches are down. So Prabhupada talks about such kind of a tree we can also see in our experience when we go to the bank of reservoir of water, and if in the bank there is a tree. So I had just got, for example, this is an example. Here is a picture of a tree which is on the bank of river, and if the river is very calm, then what it appears, if we are not able to see this top tree, and if we are just having access to see only the below part, so it will looks upside down. Roots are up, branches are kind of down and going all the directions. Okay, so this is what Prabhupada is talking about, and that is what also described in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The reflection of tree on the water appears to hang down from its upward roots. So somebody sees who has not been able to see the real tree, what he will say, the tree is like this. The root is up, it hangs on the roots, okay, and branches are coming down. So that is what a person who has not seen the real tree will feel. Yeah. The tree of creation described here is only a shadow of the reality, which is Parabrahman, Vishnu. So this tree is kind of a shadow. So this material world, or for example, if somebody was not seen, for him it will appear that that is a real tree. But actually that is not the real tree, because this is a water, this is a reflection. The real reflection is the real image is, because this image is a perverted of that image. So that is in a opposite kind of a way. The root comes down. Prabhupada says in the tree described here is only a shadow of reality. The internal potency manifested in Vishnu Loka, Vaikuntha Loka, the actual tree exists. So in the internal potency manifested in the Vaikuntha Lokas. Okay, in Vaikuntha Lokas, what will happen is internal potency is there, and the actual tree will be available there. And the tree reflected the matter nature. The tree, what we see in this matter nature, is only the shadow of the actual tree. Okay. So similarly, like somebody was saying, when we see kind of the fruit made up of rubber, or imitation fruits, like it will appear like as it is a true fruit. There is mango, grapes, or this. But even though these imitation fruits are there, what does it mean? There is a real fruit also available like that, from which, based on which this imitation fruit is made. Okay, similarly, this real tree is there in Vaikuntha Loka. Similarly, the shadow tree is there in material world. Hmm? So that is how we see. The impersonalist theory that Brahman is void of all variegatedness is false, because a shadow tree described in Bhagavad Gita cannot exist without being the reflection of the real tree. Sometimes people say Jagat Mithya, or this impersonalists, they say Jagat Mithya, Brahma Satya. Okay, so what does Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya say? This material world is not false. This material world is temporary. Okay, so yeah, so this is kind of a imitation of the real world, but it is a kind of a temporary. It is not like this does not exist. So whatever this temporary thing exists in the Vaikuntha, it exists in a real form or in the perfection. There is a real variegatedness in the Vaikuntha, okay, or Krishna Loka. Hmm? Yeah, as Bhagavad Gita also says, this a shadow tree cannot exist without the real tree. So there is a real tree also. So impersonally said, there is no real tree. There is nothing called as these emotions of serving or the Lord is there. There is nothing devotion. They just believe in one light merging into that light. So that is a foolishness. The real tree is situated in that eternal existence of the spiritual nature, full of transcendental varieties. And the root and the Lord Vishnu is the root of that tree also. Okay. And the real, so in that Vaikuntha Loka or the spiritual world, there also Krishna, everything comes from the Krishna. So Krishna is the root there also. Here also it talks about, Krishna or Vishnu, Shirodakshi Vishnu, who is kind of, Brahma is giving an example of a, root or three kind of root, like, Lord Shiva, Brahma, and Vishnu. The root is same, the Lord, for both the real tree and the false. But the false tree is only perverted reflection of the real tree. The Lord being the real tree is here offered obeisances by Brahma on his own behalf and also the behalf of Lord Shiva. So on behalf of Lord Shiva and on behalf of himself, he pays an obeisances. Like, even though he says this affair has been, this universal affair has been maintained by three entities, myself, Lord Shiva, and you. But you are the cause of everything. You are the real root, and you have taken the charge of this thing. What do you say? You have taken the charge of maintenance. In the real spiritual world, also you are the true root. Okay, so he pays an obeisance to the Lord Shiva. Oh, sorry, he pays obeisance to Lord Vishnu on behalf of himself and Lord Shiva. Okay, so we see this purport. Further, we will go into the detail. Okay, so we saw already this one. Yeah, so this is this is Lord Shiva's place. We also understood this thing. So when I was going through this purport, I also remembered one nice bhajan, which is uh, given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So this also mentioned the same concept. Hmm? So which also talks about the same concept. Yeah, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given the same, whatever is in Bhagavatam, whatever the understanding of the spiritual this thing in the simple bhajan. So he says, Tumi to Sarveshwar Bhajendra Kumar, Tumhara Icha Vishve Shrajana Samhar. Tava Icha Mato Brahma Karena Srijana, Tava Icha Mato Vishnu Karena Palana. So it is only your desire. Your, what is it? So we understand Vishnu is there, but above Vishnu, there is something, Krishna is there. In, Krishna also, the one who is there in Vrindavan or Braj, so Braj Kumara. So, he's the supreme person of Godhead. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, gives in a simple bhajan, or, he puts in a simple language for us the extract of the Vedic teaching. It says, by the desire of Lord Vishnu or desire of Krishna, the Vishnu does, Brahma does creation, and Vishnu does palan, and Lord Shiva does a, what to say, destruction. Tava icha Brahma karen, Tava icha mato Brahma karena srajanam. Tava icha mato Vishnu karena palanam. Tava icha mate Shiva karena samharam. Tava icha mate mayam shajete karagara. So this Brajendra Nandar, or who is Lord Vishnu, or who is Lord Krishna, is the ultimate, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So yeah, so we understood same from this bhajan of Bhaktivinoda Thakur also, and this is the complete. So now what we will do, we will try to understand very briefly at very high level, how does the prayer, or how does the Brahma prays to Lord Vishnu, when he gets up, and because this is his daily kind of a prayer. So also we can see, because there are many famous prayers. There is a prayer by uh, Queen Kunti, that is one of the topmost prayers. So she does a prayer to Lord. In the first canto it comes, yeah, and when he's going towards Dwarka, so he's praying, Mother Kunti is praying, so that is a nice prayer. Then there is a prayer of Prahlad Maharaj, which comes around in seventh canto. So that is also a very nice prayer, how he prays. And there are multiple prayers by Brahma. Brahma prays when after this Brahma Vimohan Leela. So that prayers of Brahma is there. So this is also one of the prayer by Brahma. And we understand Lord Brahma, he lives for, his lifespan is so big. His lifespan is like uh, uh, one day of his day, or 12 hours of his day is equal to 1,000 Chaturyugas. And one Chaturyuga is equal to 4, the cycle of Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, and Kali Yuga. This complete 4 yugas combined to make one Chaturyuga. And less like that, there are around 1,000 Chaturyugas, which will make his 12 hours, and 12 hours it takes rest. So we understand his lifespan is so big, and it's practically kind of immortal. But he also, we can see how he prays. I'm just a temporary. So we just see these prayers at very high level. Okay, we see in the last verse of the 8th chapter how Brahma does kind of what mood he has. So before starting the prayer, he's in a mood like I have to do this work, I have to do this service, this all creation had to do, and how I can do it. So that mood is there in the last verse of 8th chapter. And then he starts with the first verse of the this thing. So this 9th chapter, we can see how nicely he puts it. Yeah, so here is the 9th chapter, and he's the first thing which he talks about, how small I am and how big you are, my Lord. I am just of fortunate bodies, yeah, about you. And he glorifies the Lord's greatness and almightiness, and he says, I am, many years of penance. I have to do many years of penance. Then only I came to know about you. And then you are the so great. So that is what he says. And then he describes the greatness of his form. Your form itself is kind of so great, eternally freed from material contamination. And it says his incarnation is the origin of many other incarnation. Okay, so he describes the glories of his form. And then he says, I surrender unto you. Okay. So he just says there is a word, you are the superior, you are this thing. Hmm? Hmm. You, because whereas I am proud of my metal body, huh? And your lordship is the cause of manifestation, and you are untouched. Hmm? Yeah, I surrender unto you. So first, what he does, he says, I'm tiny, and then he says, how great you are, my Lord. And then he says, I surrender unto you, my Lord. Then he talks about, I pay obeisances. So, just to understand how the flow of these prayers go, then he does, I pay obeisances, to you, my Lord, I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. And then next, he tells the greatness of aroma of lotus feet. So after paying obeisances, definitely we'll see the lotus feet. So yeah, and he says the aroma of your lotus feet. Hmm? Yeah, and then he glorifies the devotional service. Hmm? So fifth verse is like that, and then he says he kind of pity on the people who don't take the shelter of lotus feet. That is the verse 6 text. How this thing is there. How much suffering it is there if somebody does not take the shelter of the lotus feet. So how powerful is the lotus feet? That is what he's saying. And if you take the shelter of Lord's lotus feet, all the suffering will not be there. And then he talks about chanting and hearing. So how important it is, the chanting and hearing. So in a prayer, he's also glorifying the Lord, and also for us to understand how basically we should also pray. And then he kind of reminds, chanting and hearing is so important. Hmm? And then he in next verse he says about how suffering is there, kind of a pity on the people who is not involved in the chanting and uh, hearing the Lord's glories, constantly perplexed by hunger, thirst, all those, pity on them and very much aggravated, feel sad for them because they are not kind of hearing the glories of the Lord. So we can see how Prabhupada had so much compassion for all the living entities, uh, because of he was seeing the complete world is suffering without the presence of Krishna consciousness. So that is the reason he left his, because he was very much happy in Vrindavan. Hmm? Damodar, like in Radha Damodar temple next to, Rupa Goswami's Samadhi, like it is kind of a best place to be. And he was very happy there, but he was feeling so much compassion and pity for the living entity that they don't have this Krishna consciousness in their life. And that is the reason he went to, the most abominable place in the world, kind of, where the materialism is most highest. He went to US, and I have not gone there, so I don't know, but reading Prabhupada's Lilamrit, so we come to know that is the where the hippies are there, and people are kind of lying here and there. And he went there. He took the highest teaching to the kind of lowest place, and he went there and delivered them. Like how Nityanand Prabhu. So somebody was saying, when Janmashtami is there, there is more kind of celebration. If there is a Radhashtami is there, it is okay, because Radhashtami is there, the Krishna will call some people and then there will be festival. But when Janmashtami is there, Srimati Radharani will call everybody, then festival will be celebrated in a bigger way. So similarly, like when Gaur Purnima is there, there will be bigger festival. And Nityanand Trayadashi is there, also is a bigger festival, but comparatively Gaur Purnima is bigger, because Nityanand Prabhu will go to everybody's house and call everybody. Similarly, the Lord, I mean, Sri Prabhupada on the footstep of Nityanand Prabhu, he went to the most difficult place and at very advanced age, and brought them to Krishna, brought them to the spiritual kind of spiritual practices, and gave them this Krishna consciousness. So we can understand that one, how pet regarding this pity. Yeah. And next shloka, yeah, so I think in the interest of time, we will go faster. Yeah. And next shloka, it talks about Maya, how this Maya is a kind of a powerful, and the conditioned bodies, yeah, actual existence of souls. So this Maya is kind of an illusion which makes the person think this, body is meant for sense enjoyment, and he cannot get out of the material. Yeah, until moment this Maya is there, the person does not overcome this Maya, he cannot get out of this. And then he talks about suffering of this non-devotees further, how much suffering is there. Devotees keep on reminding themselves, we should keep on, like, Prabhupada was saying, one of the lecturers somewhere, my disciples or my these things, their students are not um, afraid of Maya. So one has to be kind of afraid of Maya. That is the reason, even Lord Brahma is saying, what does Maya do, and how the people are suffering because of this Maya. Hmm? Yeah, suffering of non-devotees. So it comes. And then in the 10th shloka, same thing is, various plans they do, everything is kind of destroyed. Next shloka, shloka number 11. He glorifies the devotee of the Lord. Yeah, see through the ears, my Lord, your devotees can see through the ears by the process of bona fide hearing. So again, the glorification of hearing process is done. So how important is this hearing is kind of a given. And what is the activity of devotees, and how the Lord is merciful upon the devotees. So he glorifies the Lord. So most, prayers, when you want to glorify the Lord, so also devotees try to describe the pastimes of the Lord with his devotees, so that Lord becomes pleased. Yeah. And the 12th verse talks about how the even demigods, they are kind of praying by different mantras, and then they are doing it with a lot of paraphernalia, but Lord is not so much satisfied, because kind of the Lord also understands, and they are in the position of karma mishra, they are having a some attachment, so their Lord is not but he's more happy when charity, austerity, transcendental, and when the transcendental service is performed to the Lord, so he becomes, yeah, more happy comparatively. So that is what 13th verse talks about. Yeah, 14th verse talks about kind of his internal potency, is how he comes. So here it comes, so now we are going to the 16th verse. So just before that, 14th verse, it talks about how even the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of cosmic manifestation is also a kind of a pastime of Lord. So we see there is a pastime of Lord of Vrindavan, and all those pastimes are all there. Also these pastimes, which, in which he does a creation. So for one understanding is that, Brahma is the creator, but Brahma is kind of a secondary creator, because Brahma, what he does, raw material is given by the Lord. Lord creates earth, water, fire, and everything the Lord creates, and all blueprint, all the living entity and everything is given by Brahma, Lord Vishnu only, or Krishna only. He gives everything, and then this information is given to Brahma, and Brahma does thousands of years he does a penance, and then he understands and he gets a blueprint, and based on which he keeps on creating. Every day he does a creation. So he's a kind of a secondary creator. Yeah. So in the 14th chapter it talks about how creation is there, and in 15th chapter, 15th verse again, the glories of holy name. So it's also important, like how Brahmaji, when he's praying, how he glorifies the holy name also is there. Let me take shelter of his feet, whose incarnation, qualities, activities are mysterious and worldly affair. One who invokes his transcendental name, even unconsciously, at the time of he quits his life, is certainly washed immediately of the sins of many births, and attains him without a fail. So we, immediately this pastime of Ajamil comes into our mind. How Ajamil just unconsciously, because he was not calling Narayana actually, he was calling his son only, Narayana, whose name he has kept Narayana. So unconsciously, so we have like one of the lecture which I was hearing. So Maharaj was saying there, there was some devotees who kind of distributing books, um, and near to one in the one of the road, and the person kind of one shop was there, and there was a guard there. He was kind of not he was not happy with them, he was against them, kind of so then he used to kind of make a fun of those people, Hare Krishnas, Hare Krishnas, kind of, these people are selling here. And then how, one time the devotee gave kind of one of the prasadam, and just by having a prasadam, his mind changed, and slowly he became very favorable, and later on he was kind of helping the devotees, whoever comes, he used to say go and take books from there. So yeah, so there are so many benefits of chanting holy name. It's like a fire. The fire does not see whether he's like baby or he's a old man. Fire will always burn whoever touches it. Similarly, this holy name is like, even without consciously, if it is taken, it will work. So there is a discussion about how Haridas Thakur, once Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he goes to Haridas Thakur, and Lord knows everything. Still, he goes to his devotees, because when in Mahabharat, Arjuna is asking Lord, and like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime, he, the same Arjuna comes as Ramananda Rai, and Lord asks so many questions, and Ramananda Rai says, "My Lord, you are only telling, and you're just making me say these words." So similarly, this Haridas Thakur, he goes and asks, "What will happen about this other who are not taking your name?" So then Haridas Thakur says, for example, in some of the language, people use the word haram. So the Lord will not see this as a haram; he will see it as a haram, or sometime, so that is an example. Further, he describes like how this mountain and plants will be kind of liberated when the devotees are chanting the holy name, or you are chanting the holy name. They will hear and get liberated. Also, we see these words like some of the words in different language. Like for example, in English, it comes hurry up, come, go, let us go, hurry up, hurry up, do the things faster. So in this word, hurry comes, so Lord sees that, and then like so, and he was further details are there. Okay, yeah. So that is verse number 14. Yeah, 15 and 16 verse is kind of which is today's discussion, which where the Lord kind of uh, uh, primal cause, or the prime root of the tree of planetary system. So we see how planetary system is there, and how the Lord is the main tree. Okay, so that is what yeah, today's. So yeah, further I think we will discuss this, and yeah. So also I was just hearing one of the lecture in which so this Shirodakshi Vishnu, yeah, the Shirodakshi Vishnu, which this which Brahmaji describes here. So I was hearing one of the lecture. So this Shirodakshi Vishnu is the same who comes as for example, Lord Nityananda is Balramji, and from Balramji everything comes. All the incarnation, everything expands from Lord Balram. Like in the previous lecture also we were discussing how Balram, the first expansion of Krishna is Balram, and from Balram, the Sankarshan, Aniruddha, yeah. So they expand Chaturvyuha, and then the second Chaturvyuha happens, and finally Narayana comes, and from Narayana, this Vishnu comes, and from Vishnu this Kshirodakshi Vishnu is there, and from him Garbhodakshi Vishnu, from Garbhodakshi Vishnu Kshirodakshi Vishnu comes. So this is the source is kind of a Balramji or Nityanandaram. So Nityananda, so he had a son whose name was Veerbad, uh, Veerchandra. Actually, yeah, Veerchandra, his name was there. He's incarnation of Kshirodakshi Vishnu. So Kshirodakshi Vishnu also wanted to participate in the pastime of Lord. So he kind of incarnated as a son of Nityananda. So also we have this pastime of how Abhiram Thakur, who was uh, one of the Saka of Krishna, you know, I think Shridam, yeah, Shridam and Abhiram Thakur, he directly came from the pastime of Krishna's pastime. He directly came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime. So he didn't, so he just was hiding in a cave, and then directly he came as in Abhiram Thakur. And then it is said about Abhiram Thakur is like, he if he was so powerful that if he pays an obeisance to a stone, Shila, which is not Shaligram Shila, then that Shila will break, because it cannot take so much power. Uh, Similarly, if he pays an obeisance to somebody who is not a pure devotee, that immediately he will die. So similarly, like when Nityanand Prabhu's had children, whenever Mother Vasudha give a birth to a child, so Abhiram Thakur is to come and he's to pay an obeisance, and then because somehow they were not qualified to be the son of Nityanand, so they kind of died. So similarly, like many children of Nityanand Prabhu died, but finally Nityanand Prabhu had one son who was Veer Chandra, and he was an incarnation of Kshirodakshi Vishnu. And then he had one daughter who was a incarnation of Ganga Devi. Yeah. So yeah. So that was a kind of I just remember the Kshirodakshi Vishnu. So yeah, and this he did a lot of pastimes, and mostly those pastimes when were there when the Lord, because he was in charge after Nityanand Prabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they wind up their pastimes. Yeah. So he did a lot of what do you say, pastimes. So one of the pastime which I was hearing is how he was so powerful in preaching. So he had Srinivas Acharya, I think, was kind of he was being helped by, sorry, Veerchandra was kind of a, Srinivas Acharya was helping Veerchandra. He was kind of in charge. And how I was hearing how Veerchandra was so powerful, the king, the Mughal king, if he used to convert Mughal ruler, if they used to convert some people in some of the village, and then like 100 people or something like that to Islam, and then this Veer Chandra will go and he will do so much preaching that he will convert double the people of that back to Sanatan Dharma, something like that. And then his glories became so much famous. Then even the king who was the Nawab, so it even went to him, and then finally Nawab kind of arrested him, and then he asked Virchandra, if you are a real sadhu, then can you can cure my daughter, because she is suffering from some kind of a disease or some kind of mental disease. She is kind of a mad. So if you can correct her, so then this Veer Chandra, for him, what is impossible? He is Kshirodakshi Vishnu himself. So he cured his, I think, sister. So his sister, and he cured his sister from all the diseases. And then this Nawab was so happy. And then he told, take anything which you want, from anything. And then he told, okay, I just want one, a stone from your place. So he told, okay, you have done this thing, I can give you anything, but what you want is one stone. Yeah. So please tell which stone. So then he showed him a stone, which was kind of the base of that complete fortress, whatever fortress was there. Its complete base was that stone. So then that Nawab told, it is quite difficult to remove the stone. If you remove the stone, the complete wall or complete fort will fall down. It was quite difficult. Then Virchandra told, you don't leave it to me, I will take care of that. Yeah. So then he called his kirtan party and he did a huge kirtan, and that stone itself popped up, and it kind of a big stone it came. And then he wanted that stone to be sent to the Ganges, taken to the Ganga, so tied up, kind of wrapped up in a dry grass, like how the furnitures or some things will come up with the kind of a dry grass. So such kind of thing he wanted. So he wanted it to be put into the river Ganga. So that is and then they asked, what you want to do with this stone. You want to just put into the water river. So he told, no, you bring it there. And then he told something to the stone. And yeah, because he's a Kshirodakshi Vishnu, or he's a Vishnu himself. So for him, what is impossible? He can make so many planets float in the air. Like, for example, complete planets are floating in this, they are not colliding with each other. So for him, nothing is difficult. So he told something to this stone, and the stone went floating to the place where Nityanand's house is there, or his birthplace. And actually, this stone was a big Shaligram Shila. So at that place, there is a temple actually even now. Yeah. Okay. So I was just remembering about this over the past time which I heard. So we can go back to what we were discussing, the structure of how the prayers are there. I think further verses which will be discussed further at a very high level. If we can see it, how Brahmaji says, he says in the verse 17, as you are the eternal time, and how the struggle of the existence is kind of a futile. And then 18th verse it says, the kala and the danger of sacrifice. Bhoktara yajna tapasya. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this verse is very nice. 18th verse it says, kind of 18th verse it says, my lord, respectful obeisances. Even though I am a leader of all planets, but what is my duration? Uh, which will continue to exist for a time duration of two prahadas. Prahada. I will be just there for two. So Krishna will inhale, exhale, and he inhales. All the life Brahma's lifetime is kind of finished in that. So how temporary Brahma is telling himself as, I am a temporary, you are everything, my lord. Okay, so and he says you are the all enjoyer of all the sacrifices. So how nicely he's glorifying. Your incarnation on your own sweet will. Nobody can force you, or nothing is above you. You want when you want, only then you want to incarnate based on your own sweet will. So that is what he says. 19th verse and 20th verse. He describes how you are sleeping on the water of devastation, and in the serpent. So he glorifies. Till now, he has not come to the main point of asking. So we see how nicely Brahmaji glorifies. It is so nice. And give the purpose. Now his purpose of creation by your mercy. Now he starts in the verse number 21. His request is there. So because this is my service, my Lord, I had to create. So that is how I think we have to also learn how to pray. So he says, I'm born of this navel. You are transcendental abdomen where you are sitting. Now you are having ended your navel for the purpose of creating the universe by your mercy. So if I just want to do as a service to you, my Lord, I want to create. And then again he glorifies the Lord and asks for the blessing for creation. So he asks very nicely, empower me to introspect to create how I should, think about what I should do about create. Yeah, and then he prays, I pray that not to be materially affected by my works. For thus, I be able to give this false prestige of being a creator. So this is also very important. Like Brahmaji says, I don't want to have this prestige, or I don't want to have ego. So we remember how, like, in the pastime of Brahma Vimohan Leela, the Brahmaji, after that, he asks forgiveness, and then he says, "My Lord," he does a lot of penances, for many years, thousands of years, and then he asks, "My Lord, when Lord comes, give me a birth where kind of, I am not this thing of my uh, position as a Brahma, or I can have your association." So then Lord gives him blessing, like, when I will come as a Gauranga Mahaprabhu, then you can come as a Haridas Thakur. So you will born in a Malicha family, you will born in a different, like, Muslim family, and then you will still be chanting the holy name. And we can see the same Brahma who has been affected, like, he does kind of uh, forgets, like, who Krishna is, or like, we can see how his Brahmaji is attracted by his daughter, kind of, but he see in the pastime of Haridas Thakur, the same Brahma is not getting affected by, when the Vaishya comes to entice him, or further when the Maya Devi herself comes. So when Haridas Thakur is there, the Maya Devi herself comes and, tries to, and his simple solution, for all the problems, only one solution: let me finish my rounds. He tells him, let me finish my round. And then finally, after 3 days, Maya Devi herself says, "Ki my husband has given me this Ram mantra, which can give me liberation. But this Krishna Prema can only be achieved by this thing." Then Haridas Thakur gives her this Hare Krishna mantra. So, so this the same Brahma is there. How we can see the glory of chanting the holy name. Yeah. So further in the 24th chapter, he further glorifies. I therefore pray, yeah, I should not get deviate from my path. And finally, ask a benediction and glorifying the Lord's smile and lotus eyes. So, kind of how we can see, one of the, nice prayer, and how Brahmaji prays so nicely. And like, we understand he keeps on, I think, because this creation will, every day this he has to create a new creation, so, I think similar prayers he will be doing every day. And I remember I was just, when I was preparing, so one simple prayer which Prabhupada, because devotees were asking how to pray. So Prabhupada writes in one of the letter, how our prayers should be, simply our prayer should be, "My dear Lord Krishna, please remind me to always chant your holy name." This is a kind of a very important part. "And please do not put me into this forgetfulness." The most biggest suffering of, the living entity is that forgetfulness of Krishna. Because Krishna is all pleasurable, Krishna is having everything. Imagine if we have a father who is richest person of this planet, and we just forget about him. So that forgetfulness is the biggest kind of misery. So similarly, Prabhupada says, "Please do not put me into this forgetfulness. You are sitting within my heart as super soul. So you can either put me into the forgetfulness, or you can cause me to remember you. So please do not put me into this forgetfulness. Please always remind me to chant your name. Even if you send me to the hell, it does not matter, just as long as I always chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare." So we will end our discussion here. So any queries we have, any questions? Yeah. Okay. So we'll end our discussion here. Thank you for your time. Hare Krishna.